Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, whatever time of day you are joining us. This is the Victory Road Wrestling Podcast. I am one of your hosts, the storyteller, the number one member of the pillar. We can figure that out later. The one and only Alex Braddock.
And I am your other host, the, I guess, newest member of the Pro Wrestling 225 production team, if they don't fire me when they see my actual footage. But I am Dylan Gilbert, and, buddy, we got ourselves an episode today.
Yes, we do. For those that missed last week, we are not doing a wrestling recap in full. We are not doing Monday through Saturday. We're just doing Sunday, the day of us recording this. Today was All in Wembley. And I couldn't tell if it was just me getting back from a 4-hour car ride where I needed to blow out all of my emotion, or if it was an actually great pay-per-view. But I'm going to call it a great pay-per-view.
Well, I can tell you this. As the Sunday we're recording, last night was a show night. And I woke up this morning never having used one of those sweet shoulder mount filming rigs before, and I can tell you that every muscle from like my neck to like my bicep is just like gelatinous, and I was ready to sleep all day, and I was still screaming at the TV just as hard. So I think that was a pretty damn good show. I wouldn't say a perfect show, but I would say a really fun night of wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Day
I
of
agree.
wrestling. It
I
happened
agree
at
with that.
noon our time, but whatever.
That's
It was night where they were at. That's all I care about.
correct. And for me, driving home from watching this show was just, I was like, I have no energy, but I should because it's only 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
I truly think we dumped every bit of energy we had throughout that show.
Absolutely.
And I'm kind of sitting here having the thought of like, was it a mistake to be like, let's go home, let's take a couple hours, and then let's record? Instead of just be like, go home, fire up the computer, let's go.
Yeah, so we decided to wait 2 hours. 2 hours? 3 hours. It's close enough. It's fine. We're still dead inside. It'll be all right.
Time's a construct, folks.
Right. Time's a weird timey-wimey soup. But to kick off the night, I missed everything in the pre-show, and I missed pretty much the entire first match. But let's talk about the pre-show, because
So,
I got
yeah.
a text in all caps saying that we had a return.
This is not the first all caps writing of the night, because I did take notes through the show, and I will let you guys know when things are all caps, because that means I really, really pop for them. So we had a couple matches on the pre-show. We had I feel crazy saying these words. We had a 16-man tag match open up pre-show, which, let's be real, it was a let's get guys their moment in Wembley. You had there's a lot of guys that I really liked in the match. Kip Sabian got that sweet homecoming pop. You had, Dark Order getting more time than I've seen them get in a while. It was a fun match. I'll be honest, that was totally like prepping food and stuff, like a Super Bowl party. So I'm catching spots as I could, but all the spots were fun. I think at one point Silver like comes out of the match and just sits at the commentary table until like a spot comes in for him, and he just drops the headset and runs back in, which is one of my favorite things in wrestling, when you
That's
can
awesome.
get a guy who's like, I'm on the outside for this, and just grab the headset and start talking. Get your moment, get yourself over. Like, do
Absolutely.
it. 16-man tag. I forget who won that one, honestly. It was definitely the like, people are still filing in, let's just get the people here hyped match.
Yeah, that's the warm-up match to get everybody excited and moving.
We had another 10-man tag that also was just like we paired a bunch of baby faces and a bunch of heels together. That was also fun. We had Dustin, we had Sammy Guevara, the Von Erichs, and I'm drawing a total blank on the fifth. And then you had, or no, it was an 8-man. So it was those four. So the Von Erich brothers, Kerry was on the outside. And then you had the Undisputed Kingdom, Taven and Bennett versus... No, you know what? It was a 10-man. I'm just blanking on somebody. Sorry. It's been a long day, folks. Another one of those, it was fun. Like Kerry Von Erich's on the outside, he's getting his moments in. I thought it was a fun match. Ultimately, just like it was a Let's just get some guys their moment at Wembley. Getting the Von Erich kids out there to like get a big moment, I thought was cool. Have a Carey claw somebody and some of the chaos was awesome.
Heck yeah.
And my one little note is we had Sammy Guevara and Brian Cage both out there in Wolverine gear. Which, look, it's not on wrestlers to see what the person they're like. Your tag team, I get it. Like, hey, if we can coordinate. Your opponent, it's not on you to coordinate with your opponent. If you guys come out wearing the same color, it is what it is. But to be wearing the same color, the same style, because they were both wearing comic book X-Men Wolverine gear. Same fonts, same colors, everything. It was just one of those, like, it felt like the Spider-Man meme a little bit.
Yeah, except one's a massive beast of a human and another one's a toothpick.
Right.
So,
but you know,
that's cool.
And then we had the match that I think I had the most fun with on the pre-show. Tomohiro Ishii and Willow Nightingale versus one of my favorite female wrestlers, Chris Statlander, and Stokely Hathaway, who has just been gold on television. Stokely comes out and has a Michael Jackson-inspired entrance when Michael Jackson performed at Wembley. Like, he comes out on, like, the cart like a pharaoh.
That's awesome.
And I think he got like 3 spots in the whole thing because the most of the match was Willow and Stat. Ishii tags in. They're kind of playing up Stokely's scared to get involved. So Stat lays some stiff shots on Ishii, who actually gets staggered towards the end. So watching Statlander stagger Ishii to a knee and then throw Ishii into a spine buster from Stokely that has him down for all of, I would say, 6 seconds. He's up. He takes Stokely out. We have the big finish to the match.
Yeah.
The babyfaces win big. And fun, silly, like if you like comedy wrestling, it's one of those ones to go watch back. Stokely Hathaway is comedy wrestling gold.
He's awesome, dude.
And then the moment that set up the all caps text for me, in a move that I was kind of surprised was relegated to pre-show, but I'm happy happened. Saraya comes out, and not just Saraya, not just Harley Cameron, not just Zach Knight, the entire Knight family. I think there was some like brothers, girlfriends out there. It was what I could only call a platoon of Knights all hit the ring, and they are booing Saraya so hard. So she does the thing. She grabs the microphone like, I won the women's title here last year. You guys cheered for me. Why are you booing me? We're shutting this show down until I get the respect that I deserve. And wouldn't you know whose music hits? Jamie Hayter is back, folks. Jamie Hayter punched wives and girlfriends of the Knight family. I think she might have kicked someone's grandmother. She tore through the Knight family like tissue paper. She leveled everybody. Goes after Harley Cameron because Saraya, she didn't want to get touched, so she rolled out. So Harley Cameron took the impact for all of it. And Jamie Hayter stood tall, and I was just so happy to see her back, man. It's been too long.
She's been gone for a while.
So I'm glad to have her back. There's a lot of wildly talented women in this roster, but man, there was a Jamie Hayter sized hole in the roster that has now been filled, and I'm really excited about that.
It'll be a good time. I'm interested to see if she'll go straight for her rematch, or if we'll have to see a little TBS warm up.
God, please no.
Yeah. We'll get onto that later.
We'll get to that.
We open the show with a 4-way trios ladder match. Had to watch my English on that one.
So a 12-man ladder match for the trios titles, which had Bullet Club Gold, House of Black, the Patriarchy, and what I am deeming the Bastard Combat Club. We had the pairing of Pac, Cesaro, and Wheeler Yuta.
Sure.
I'm kind of believing Pac is at least aligned with BCC at this point, and I think that is perfect. I think that's a perfect pairing.
Yeah.
Especially if, like, the dirt sheet rumors about, like, Lucha Brothers being on their way out are to be believed. Who knows? But
We figured out tonight we can't trust the dirt sheets.
we'll get to some of that.
Correct.
But I really fun match. The big takeaway from like the entrances was when the Patriarchy came out, it was just Kill Switch and Nick Wayne. No Christian.
That's nice.
The match goes probably 5-ish minutes, and literally when everybody is down, 11 of the 12 participants are down, Christian Cage comes running down the ramp, sets the ladder up, and goes for the steal. And I thought it was the most perfect Christian move he could have pulled.
Yeah.
Really fun, really violent match. It is just like tables breaking everywhere. Juice Robinson, this man, he had some crazy spots in this one. I think the wildest was he was on top of one of the tall ladders. If you watch the ladder match, you've got like the standard ones, and you got the ones that like when they set them up, it hits the belts.
Yeah.
He was on top of one of those. Christian pushes it over, and he does the like credit card on the top rope spot. He hit harder than I've ever seen a human being hit.
Ooh.
And all I can say is I hope that him and Tony do not want children. Because the chances of this man being able to father a child went drastically down.
Yeah.
He hit, like I said, the hardest I've ever seen. Christian Cage, there was one of my, I think my favorite spot of the whole thing was Buddy Matthews is on a short ladder, Christian's on the tall ladder after castrating poor Juice Robinson. And there's a table posted up in the corner, like propped in the corner, and Christian dives off of the big ladder, catches Buddy Matthews off of the small ladder, and just they both go through that setup table.
This happened as I was walking in.
Amazing. Yes. Like it felt like, I think at that point I said this is just straight up a tables, ladders, and Christian match. Like it felt like TLC happening in AEW.
Oh yeah.
And then to end the match off, Pac gets the Wembley moment. He climbs the ladder, he pulls the titles down, and he has been robbed of that Wembley moment. And his whole, I guess, motivation going into All In was to get his Wembley moment. And so now, I'm going to keep calling them the Bastard Combat Club, our trio's champions. And I think that's awesome. Like, it's not something I had anywhere near my prediction sheet. And when it happened, it was like, oh, this makes all the sense in the world. Which is,
it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me because of how blood feudy the other three were towards each other. So maybe we're just looking for a full reset. I don't know.
So I think BCC has been quietly in the background of a lot.
Yeah.
BCC has really been there, but a lot of the like what Claudio and Wheeler have been doing has taken so much backseat to Danielson, to Moxley, and Pac took so much backseat to Lucha Brothers. This pairing just, to me, it was like this grouping made all the sense in the world, and giving Pac that moment, because it really was a like clear the other three, because they are so focused on each other. They're not paying attention to the ragtag pairing over here. And it really did have that like that any given night kind of feel, like you're watching a UFC pay-per-view and the guy that has no shot at winning catches the right punch at the right time and it's over. Yep. It felt like a sport moment where it's like, these are not guys that had deep story. These are not guys that had all of this build. These guys slid in and at the right moment hit the right move. And I love Pac in that moment. So awesome. We're bringing back the ratings from SummerSlam.
Okay.
I'm giving this match 3.75 broken tables out of 5.
Okay.
I thought it was a really fun match. I thought it was nice and violent. I could have used more Brody King. But in life, I could use more Brody King. Life's hard, be harder. He's so much fun.
He's pretty solid.
But yeah, really fun match.
Awesome. Well, moving on into the night, we have second match of the night, which I guess is claws of Mercedes Hogan. But we night, I guess, in a sense, opener other than the ladder match was the women's title match. What they called a blood feud between Mariah May and Toni Storm. And I'm glad my road trip did not have any traffic so that I did not miss this match. Because holy storytelling Batman.
Yes. I keep saying this with Toni Storm's matches, Toni Storm's moments, and especially this whole feud now with Mariah. It was not pro wrestling, it was cinema. Like
Yeah.
this was like the storytelling, the detail, the emotion. The just that immediate stare down, like when the match starts, you can see in Tony's eyes she's fighting the tears because it's just like we have gotten to this point. And you look at Mariah and she is cold, calculated, and she's not seeing Toni Storm. She's seeing smooth through Toni Storm to that title. And I just their eyes, dude, their eyes said everything that needed to be said. If commentary had been silent, you would know exactly what's going on here. You've got one person that is heartbroken over this, and you've got one person that is there for a purpose. It was incredible.
It was quite a solid match, and we've talked about how we feel about Toni Storm and Mariah May on the podcast before. Both are phenomenal. Tony's going to be around for a while, but I think this was definitely a passing of the torch when it comes to the way Tony used to wrestle. And when I say that is, you see it quite a lot as people go into their careers. Like, they go out and wrestle in Japan, and they work this combat sport kind of I want to fight kind of style, and then they figure out the storytelling in wrestling, and now they only want to focus on storytelling. I think Mariah May is going to be that fighting style, keep that going. Now, sure, she's the glamour, but I think when it comes to the hard hitting, I'm gonna knock your teeth down your throat. That's who we're gonna go, and I think Tony just passed that torch on to her of just like, no, like you've got the fight in you. I see that. Here's the torch. Here's the title. Go on and do this. Now, could we see someone else take it off of her in 2 weeks at All Out? Maybe. Would I hate to see it? Yes. But
Of course.
I think it's definitely that moment needed to happen with Tony and Mariah in Wembley. So
Mariah's proven so much that like she has taken this heel turn and made so much with it, because I think there was a lot of people that are just like, oh, okay, so she's just the newest of these signings. Like, okay, she's going to come in, she might be a flash, and then she's there with Tony, and then she's gone. And I think she got so much reaction. I mean, it was the little things that she was doing. Like, Nigel McGuinness on commentary is one of my favorite things. And Nigel making all of the comments he's made about her, she walks over, kisses him on the cheek, and that was just like, well, that's... And I literally have it in my notes. We'll talk about it later, but I was like, well, that's Nigel's Wembley moment.
Oh yeah,
dreams
come true.
Dreams come true, right? and I think like it was literally on the same path, being the outside. They made such a point of Mariah's mother being in the crowd.
Yeah, and
she walks right up to her mom. And I don't know if her mom's had any experience in wrestling in her life, but that woman could take a hit. Mariah slapped the taste out of her mouth.
She got rocked.
I've not seen many human beings take a hit like that and stay upright and not react. She got popped. And that whole crowd was just like, anybody that was cheering for her because like you just really like Mariah May, the boos were coming down. She had that like, it was a guttural reaction she was getting out of people without, I think, resorting to like too cheap a heat.
Oh yeah.
It was
just enough.
it was just enough. Like I think there's that balance, right? There's times where you like rip the kid's sign in half or whatever, and it's like, yeah, you're just doing that to get the reaction. But to slap your own mother,
It's a great time.
it read unhinged, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
and then I think a perfect finish to that match. She had the shoe, and I think we both kind of looked as like, great. Well, now we have Aubrey Edwards staring directly at the shoe because
Yep.
God was she in the wrong place at the wrong time. Tony stomps the hand, pulls the shoe free, picks it up, looks at the shoe, looks back at Mariah, and just drops it like she couldn't do it.
Who, mind you, has been bleeding the entire match.
The entire match.
Took a what is a Storm Zero? Is her pile
Yep.
driver? Took a
Yep.
Storm Zero on the steel steps, which I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. And then camera cuts back and just blood.
Just
Like, oh, okay, cool.
so Tony refuses to use the shoe, costs her the match. Mariah takes the championship, and I'm going to use the word cinema.
In mind you, the finish in some stiff Shining Wizards.
Yes.
Those like that's what made me get out of my seat to pop for the finish was two stiff as hell Shining Wizards to the back of the head and to the face. And then she turns around and hits a Storm Zero, which is just a very quick snapping pile driver.
What I loved so much about it was they told so much story in like just that opening stare down, and in the last like a minute and a half of the match, if everything between was great, but if that match was stare down and that finish, you've told a complete story in those 2 moments. And I think that you've got two people that just understand what they're doing on another level.
Absolutely.
So I gave that one 4.5 bloody high heels out of 5.
Shoot ya.
Banger.
Shoot ya.
Bang.
Absolutely. And then we go to the cooldown. That's hi guys. Hi. The Learning Tree, Chris Jericho, along with the Bad Apple, Brian Keith, and the Redwood.
The Redwood Big Bill.
There you go. I had Cass in my head. I was like, I know that's not it.
He is 7 foot tall, and I'm told that can't be taught, but the Learning Tree will try.
Hey, it works. Versus Hook, which it was okay. I mean, it was by far not my favorite match of the night, but it's not the worst.
I think it was fun. I loved Fozzy being involved, and I loved Jericho doing his own. They didn't, with a lot of like your live music entrances, you'll get the like immediate clip of if they put something in the beginning. Like Chris Jericho has the like, I am the Learning Tree. He did it himself on mic as Fozzy is like teasing it, and I thought that was fun. And then Jericho getting blown up, singing his own theme song down the ramp.
And then wearing tearaway pants that did not tear away.
They wouldn't come off. I was a little disappointed. I was like, well, if Jericho gets Fozzy, can we please have Hook come out with Action Bronson? And I don't know if Action Bronson's on tour or whatever, but I mean, like, it's two of my. I love Jericho's themes because I maybe I'm a mark. I don't know. I genuinely like Fozzy's music, and so like anytime Jericho has one of those Fozzy themes, like this new song, and I forget the name of it. I've listened to it probably 30 times, but it's a really solid song. Like Jericho's actually a good singer. He's got a great band behind him. So I mean that paired with Chairman's Intent by Action Bronson, I was like this is like the two banger themes going against each other.
Yeah.
So I was a little bummed we didn't get a live music intro for Hook, but they did start it off with Taz's heartbeat sound, which was like the flat line, which I mean arm hair stood up. That was, speaking of passing of the torch moments, Taz literally just like giving his son the like, watch this crowd pop.
Yep. And I mean, even still, you had Taz mission finish from Hook, and then all of a sudden Brian Keith's like, "Oh no, come back! I'm going to hit you with the title again." And Taz pulls him down and puts him in his own Taz mission, which you can tell, old boy did not stretch out beforehand because that Taz mission was about this far apart when he hooked him.
Well, didn't he just had like knee surgery or something like that? So it was like, because I think the whole match we're like, wouldn't it be awesome if Taz got involved? But it's like it's not going to happen because
It's
like
not
he's
gonna
still in
happen.
recovery.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you heard the like distinct sound of a headset getting ripped off and that mic
Yep.
not being muted. And I was like, oh, okay, we got coming off commentary Jones over here. And then
Yes.
when I'm not even going to say cinched up, when he like grabbed for the Taz mission on Brian Keith, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had
It was a good time.
in a moment I never thought I would see. We had Big Bill go through a table with a barbed wire board on top.
And definitely did not sell it like he went through a barbed wire board,
He
but
they definitely had to have rounded the edges on that barbed wire.
absolutely.
It didn't look like Nick Gage was angry somewhere because
Oh, for sure.
I listened to him go on a rant randomly on like social media or like a promo or something like that about how like, well, my companies we don't round the barbed wire, we use real cuts. And I'm like, look, I love bloody wrestling, so cool, but
Yeah.
also if you want to have self-preservation, you're paying a guy like you're paying Big Bill. I get if he doesn't want to take a bunch of stab wounds to the back, fine, you still got the pop out of the crowd.
It was good.
But I didn't have it's another one of those not on my bingo card, but I loved it.
For
Big
real.
Bill going through a barbed wire board. Never
For
would
real.
have seen that coming.
Maybe that's what we have to do for 2025. Maybe instead of a prediction whiteboard, we just have a big old bingo card.
And just pick. Well, brother, if the rest of what we're going to see tonight is any indicator, we could pick some of the wildest stuff we can think of,
And it may come true.
and there's a real chance. So to
Okay,
keep
but, yep.
keep
Get
my
your rating.
ratings in line here, I'm giving this match 3.25 high guys out of 5.
Oh, see, I would have given it like 3 croquet balls out of 5. That's
The croquet balls terrified me. Let's double back to that. Chris Jericho is a master of the bag, what's in the bag spot.
Yep.
And like when they were in Winnipeg, it was hockey pucks. Like when there is certain places he'll do certain things, and when he dropped the cricket balls, and he had the cricket bat with high guys written across it, which I love. Like, please never retire.
no.
But every time they would do a spot with like the cricket, like the cricket balls around the ring, I was just like, please nobody roll an ankle or blow a knee.
Dude.
Hook took a gouge to the good eye. Whole match, he's got the taped up eye from Chris Jericho's fireball, which Chris Jericho's a wizard, man. Like, fireballs to the face are no joke. Steve Anthony, if you could hear this, I hope you make a full recovery. Terrifying. So Hook still got the eye taped, right? Like, Jericho gouges the other eye. So Hook is in the ring and he's stepping blind and he is near missing with his back foot this cricket ball as he's trying to throw punches. And I'm like, please don't roll an ankle, like blow something out, mess a knee up. It just like the whole time it's happening, I'm just like, and I think that's why I'm going to give it the 3.25. That like some of the genuine like in some of those spots I thought was great.
Yep.
A fun match, not a perfect match, but a fun match,
Absolutely. Yeah. So you got 3.75, 25,
2.25,
25. Hey guys.
3.25. Hey guys.
Then we move on to the tag match, which I'm not that much of a spot monkey, but I am the 225 tag team champions. So what I'll call was one of the top of matches for me in this sense because I love tag team wrestling. And boy, oh boy, did we get some tag team wrestling.
This one I did not have a ton of notes on because I was just really genuinely enjoying taking that match in. Like there's some where like
Yes.
a moment will happen, like I need to write this down. And this was like all broadcaster in me went out the window and I was just like enthralled. I think there was some really fun moments like Caster and was it Matt Jackson or Nick Jackson? It was one of the Jackson brothers hitting a BTE trigger on Dax.
It was Caster and Matt. So that's what
That's
I was
right.
going to say. So we opened here's what I remember. And no, we prefaced that we may be sloshed enough that we cannot find the record button. We're perfectly fine. We barely drank any. Dylan's been drinking since the show. I'm not feeling the greatest. Therefore, I had one and I was done. So I remember saying at the beginning of the match, because at that point I had just started drinking, that if we saw what I have now crowned the move thief ability from any of these tag team partners, then we needed a drink. And then we got the close enough. So we got Matt Caster and Mac Jackson hitting a BTE trigger.
BTE trigger.
We had, I believe it was also Max Caster and Cash. It's not Cash Wheeler.
Nope.
Dash Wilder, something.
Oh,
FTR,
dude, now,
guys.
Damn it! Now you're in my head.
See, the guy with not bald FTR. The other one hit a shatter machine.
So like, please don't sue us for slander. I jokingly call them FTR bald and FTR gun, and if you know, you know. He's not guilty. Fine, but he will always be FTR gun to me. Dude, why am I
have no idea.
I'm blaming St. Arnold's Oktoberfest. Why I can't remember his name. I'm looking it up right now, but he was Cash Wheeler.
Anyway, they hit a perfectly done shatter machine. I think we even got a Scissor Me Timbers of some kind.
It is Cash Wheeler. We were right.
He's Cash Wheeler now?
Yeah.
So he was Dash Wilder and NXT.
Dash Wilder, that's
what it
so
is.
It's Cash Wheeler.
I mixed up the two. I said Dash Wheeler and Cash Wilder. I mixed up the two.
Yep. So
FTR, you're one of the greatest tag teams of all time. I'm sorry.
Without a doubt. The names are too close, but not close enough, and it trips me to this day. They're one of my favorite tag teams, and I still was like, is it Dash, Cash? Shit.
Well, because Bald is Dax.
Yeah.
Because he screwed us on that one.
Dax the Axe.
Yeah. Anyway. Great match. Phenomenal psychology between the three. And our finish was Dax, the Axe, FTR Bald, getting pinned by Nick Jackson, which then gives the excuse of the Acclaimed saying, hey, my tag titles, I didn't lose. Technically, I can challenge for them again. But before anything could get established, we had some of Liverpool's own hop the barricade, and this is where we were talking about previously, where we couldn't trust the dirt sheets. Dylan?
Well, if you listen to certain wrestling journalists, there's a certain tag team that had a match in AEW and then never came back, and the belief was that they wanted too much money, and AEW didn't see that much value in them, and so they just weren't coming back. Because apparently these grizzled young veterans were scared of a payday. Wrong. Grizzled young vets jump the barricade and go after FTR, and I think they got the Bucks also.
Well, so they stood off against the Bucks.
They stood off against the Bucks.
They stood off against the Bucks, who the Bucks is holding the tag titles, and they basically said, you know what? Hey, we're coming for those. But then the Bucks hopped out before they could beat them down, so they turned around and started beating on FTR. So
That's right.
We have potential for All Out's in 2 weeks. We have potential for a tag match between the Acclaimed and the Bucks and Grizzled Young Veterans and FTR, and I would see GYV versus FTR, the winner of that, challenging whoever wins Acclaimed Bucks.
And if that is the pairings going forward, just Tony Khan, just go ahead and I'm going to give you a direct deposit. You just go ahead and take that pay-per-view money.
Please, just make a streaming service, please.
GYV are so freaking good, and look, we I don't know if we've talked about this or not. We both watched that Brit Rest scene a lot. Watched these guys come up, watched them hit NXT, UK NXT, and when they walked away, there was that there's always that fear when guys walk away from the
a big company,
relative safety of a big company to bet on themselves, and they just hit the ground running and they ripped. And so it was awesome seeing them hop that barricade and get just a massive pop in their home country. Awesome.
It's good stuff, dude.
So
give me your rating.
I'm giving this one 4.25 Scissor Me Daddy chance out of 5. I thought really fun match. It would have been higher for me. I'll let the internet wrestling fans annoy me a little bit. I've read so many people with the belief that like the fans aren't behind the Acclaimed anymore. They're losing them. They've lost too many times. And like, yes, you totally can have a guy lose too many times, have a tag team lose too many times, and you will start to like the fans will kind of start to like, well, okay, I'm not behind them the same way I was, which is why pulling the trigger at the right time is important. But when the Acclaimed came out, and look, maybe it's because they brought out the old Seven Nation Army chant. They got the entirety of Wembley Stadium chanting, "Oh, scissor me, daddy." And I can only imagine being in the building. It looked like the building was shaking. Like the whole crowd. Caster got his rap in. Like there was such a like the crowd was so behind him. And every time they got big spots, like when they stacked the Young Bucks up for the Scissor Me Timbers, the crowd was so behind it. And sometimes you have to delay that, like, it's perfect. This is the time, pull the trigger. And sometimes you do have to delay it. Maybe it's All Out. Maybe it's on a Dynamite.
Yeah.
I feel like they're getting the titles again at some point.
Very much so.
But could you imagine the pop if they'd have won?
Absolutely.
Now, hindsight, grizzled young veterans coming out would not have made as much sense.
Right.
I get it. But I thought it was a really solid. I mean, you've got three of the best tag teams on the planet.
It's true. And now we're adding a fourth. And the fifth is still on layaway with injury. Please come back, Dougzilla.
Please come back. I think that was my saddest takeaway, was that we did not get Mark Davis back.
Dude,
I figured
imagine that as the end.
When Fletcher was on the pre-show, I was like, damn it, that means Davis isn't coming back.
Yep. They got to do an Aussie show here soon, though.
They are going to do Australia in February. I believe it was February.
Maybe somebody's recovered and he's just taking some time off.
God, look, rest up. Put it on
the board! That's our t-shirt.
The pop.
That's our t-shirt.
Think
Victory
of the
Roll
pop.
logo, and then on the back, put it on the board.
Put it on the board. One of these days, we're going to actually get good and get an actual board.
Yeah, it's in the
Wheel
works.
that sucker out.
It's in the works. I'll
Put
have to
it
find a
on
whole...
The board.
I'll just have to, like, do another camera angle or something. I'll have to, like, put a camera up in the corner of my office and just be like, all right, cool. Now it's pointing at the board, and we'll figure it all out. But moving on, we had what might be Royal Rumble equivalent. And when I say Royal Rumble, I mean 2013 Royal Rumble, because the amount of curveballs that were thrown in this match. We had the Casino Gauntlet match, and starting out, we had Orange Cassidy and Okada, which we didn't even know Okada was involved in this match.
That was a nice, pleasant surprise. I was kind of wondering if he was going to be involved, because we didn't have an Okada match on the card, but he had the match with Claudio on Dynamite, which I thought was really fun. But I'm like, how in the world do you not have these guys on Wembley? You got two just stars. So Orange Cassidy versus Okada starting off, I thought was kind of crazy enough. And then as this thing progresses, folks, remember earlier, this is foreshadowing and storytelling, when I said Nigel McGuinness got the kiss on the cheek from Mariah May. That's his Wembley moment.
Dreams come true.
I could not have been more freaking wrong, because Nigel McGuinness wrestled in 2024. Nigel McGuinness came back and didn't look like he had taken that much time off. He jumped back in.
He had a little bit of rust to him, and when you take 10 plus years off, I can understand it. But like, that dude was solid.
His strikes were still stiff. Like his chaining was still beautiful. You could tell there was a couple guys that came in and they're like, I don't want to be the guy that knocks off McGuinness this quickly.
Yeah.
So you could tell like a couple guys were a little softer with him, and then he hit him back and was like, "Oh no, he's fine."
Oh no,
And
he's
then
chill.
they start raining him. Like O'Reilly was the one I kind of pointed out. It was just like O'Reilly got a little soft with him. He got popped back. He's like, "Okay, we're cool."
Yep.
And I respect the hell out of like, especially with a veteran like that coming off of that big of an absence. Like, hey, don't run straight in and put him on his head.
Yeah.
Feel it out, and if he's going to swing back, swing.
Indeed. So I remember popping because we had Nigel McGuinness and Okada in the same ring, which was great.
Dream match.
And then the next person to come out.
So if you're a fan of the Victory Roll podcast, and if you're listening this deep into an episode, we can assume you are, you know that we are both big fans of Zack Sabre Jr., and I did not expect to hear that song playing.
Once again, bingo card. Didn't see it.
Zack Sabre Jr. wins the G1 and is on the All In Wembley card. Bam, bam. And I did not have that on my bingo card.
Not at all. When that little guitar riff hit, we popped out of our chairs, and he is walking down to the ring. Orange and Kyle O'Reilly both like held the ropes open for him, and he was like, nah, screw that, and just walked around the ring and slid in, beat the two of them up, and then my second pop of the match, Dylan, we had Nigel McGuinness and Zack Sabre Jr. in the same ring.
So there's a definite theme to when Nigel McGuinness tied up with people, and it is dream tie-ups, and it's situations of like places that he had wrestled and the generation behind him, the star of the generation behind. And it's like, oh my God, Nigel McGuinness is tying up with Okada. He's tying up with Kyle O'Reilly. He's tying up with Zack Sabre Jr. It's like you had the next generation in Japan, the next generation of Ring of Honor, the next generation of the British wrestling scene. You're having just, what I love about these matches, you had dream match after dream match, and we didn't have to have Nigel McGuinness wrestle a year. He got a good couple minutes with each of these guys to show you, like, this is what it would look like. And if this is the last thing he does, like, if that was his, like, I got one more, that was awesome.
Yeah. I'm sure he went through a crap ton of medical clearance before he even touched that ring.
I don't think Tony Khan's going to let a man go out there that could die in that ring.
Not at all.
He's not, look, as much as people give Tony Khan shit, you can say a lot about him. Yes, he's a total mark. Yes, he's a dork. But that man gives a shit about the people on his roster, and he's not going to send people out there to like paralyze themselves, to Randy the Ram it and die in the ring. He's not going to do that. He's going to let them push their own boundaries, but he's not going to let someone do something that is like lethal.
Right.
He's just not. Like, come on.
No, very much so. And then continuing on, we have Jeff Jarrett, which I was like, okay, sure. Jeff gets involved. Jeff does we have 8 men involved. I'm just going to do the punch around the circle, punch around the circle, punch around the circle, and just keep spinning.
Watching Jeff Jarrett lay out all of this talent, it's just like, oh, God. And, like, I think we've talked about it before. Like, Jeff Jarrett's great. He's a great talent. He's got a good mind for the business, but he also has that little thing in him that's like, well, I have to be the best. The same thing in his mind that made him have to go out and be like, Danielson, I think you're gonna be one of the greats. You're gonna be seen as one of the greats. Like, he hasn't in 25 years of wrestling just cemented that he's one of the greats. You needed Jeff Jarrett to come through and be like, kid, I think you're gonna be all right in this business. But we got the crowd was hot for it. We got a guitar shot. It's a good time.
Smooth. It was smooth. It was a good time. It was a good little pull. Last big surprise before we talk finish. The Irish legend.
Ireland's own Rick O'Shea made his way down. And, I think we glossed past. Hangman was in the match. We knew Hangman was going to be in the match and ready to fight anybody. The look on Hangman Adam Page's face when Ricochet came out, I went and looked back. They were in New Japan at the same time, and Ricochet had some feuds with the Bucks, but never that I could see with Hangman proper. But I do think there is some history just from them being in similar companies. But
even still having that moment of going, I have everyone accounted for. Like, okay, I joined this match after Nigel and Zack Sabre have joined. Like, everyone else I have accounted for. Cool. And then Ricochet's music hits, and he sits there and goes, that's one I don't have accounted for.
That's an X factor.
Take a step back. We're gonna readjust and see where we can go. Ricochet does his normal flippy dippy stuff, and I'll give him respect for it because he had his little moment. It was like his Royal Rumble moment. It's okay to have flippy dippy things in a Royal Rumble moment, just not the whole match.
And I think Ricochet is one of those guys that like he's proven that he's got the technical chops. So when he does the flippy stuff, it's at the right timing.
Absolutely.
And when he needs to just get in there and chain or throw a punch, perfect.
Absolutely.
Ricochet rolled in. I mean, heroes welcome into AEW, and I think he's one of those guys that'll fit. For the love of God, please get him a manager or mouthpiece because like his promos have never been great. Prince Puma was one of the greatest characters in Lucha Underground, and they kept him to like a sentence or two.
Right.
He looked a lot like Ricochet. I don't know what the connection is there. Sorry.
There is a connection, though. I don't know what it is.
They look alike. They've got similar tattoos. Maybe they're friends. But Ricochet rolling through, I think one of the knocks I saw was like, well, you guys can't tell me that AEW isn't predictable. Here's the beauty of it, right? We're watching a sport that is staged, choreographed, predetermined, and we still react.
Yeah.
When we knew that Ricochet was the dirt sheets leaked it a week ago that he had signed with the company. Will Ospreay tweeted, "I'm ready to lock up with you and remind you who the hell you are." It is so obvious, but that confirmation, having his music hit in Wembley, having him come out to just a crowd rocking. Sometimes the obvious thing is obvious for a reason, because it's the right thing to do.
Yes, sir.
And now we're going to talk about the opposite end of that spectrum.
Dude, let me just speed through this finish super quick.
Please.
So, we got Christian Cage coming out as second to last. He was close. He was either third to last or second to last entrant. We thought he was just that. Okay, that's it. Cool. He hits 2 or 3 moves, takes a bump, rolls out, isn't seen the rest of the match. I honestly think Ricochet took him out in the big multi-man shooting star press.
I'll cut you off to say Christian did a thing that I love and not a lot of wrestlers do. He was in a violent match earlier in the night, and when his entrance for the gauntlet happens, he limps the whole way down the ramp. He sells every bit of the violence and brutality that happened earlier in the night. It wasn't like he went back, drank some water, hit a health potion, and now he's just ready to go.
Yes.
I love that.
So in an opportune time, slides back in perfect Christian Cage fashion and goes to hit. I think he hit a spear or something. I can't remember. Guy was down. Christian Cage was up. And then we got the countdown. We were not expecting one more entrant into this match, but we started getting the countdown.
I joked about like, there's not going to be another countdown. Who in the world else can they bring into this thing?
Right. And sure enough, for the first time, and I think close to a year, the name Luchasaurus pops up on the Titantron, and we have good old Luchasaurus come running out. And I remember both of us hopping out of our chairs going, all right, this is the face turn. Like, this is the turn. He's going to turn on Christian, big choke slam, maybe even pin, and we get a face Luchasaurus versus Jack Perry for the TNT title. That would be perfect send-off, kind of go at it. Everything's great. Luchasaurus slides in. He's sitting there yelling at Christian. I don't think it was Ricochet. I think it was maybe O'Reilly. Got back up to his feet and turned, and Luchasaurus goozles, throws him over, big choke slam, drags Christian Cage over him, 1, 2, 3. Christian Cage takes it in the perfect swerve. Bad. Of the night. And dude, I loved it. I mean, yes, you had a little bit of spot fest in it. Yes, you had a bunch of big returns and or debuts, but It was a solid match. What was the rating? Hit me.
All right. So I'm giving it 4.5 surprise entrance out of 5.
Okay, got it.
It was one of my matches of the night. Like you said, a little spot festy, not perfect. The ending is a huge question mark, but at this point in my smarkdom, I love when I don't know where the hell things are going. Because I'm one of those, like, I'm analytical about everything in my life. Everything that I love, I think about way too much. And I had a few moments where I definitely called that one, and then there were things that happened where it's like I had no idea that was going to happen. And I love when you call one a mile out and it lands, and I love when you call one a mile out and it totally isn't that, and it's something better.
Yeah.
So maybe this is one of those. Maybe Christian is going after a different title than the AEW, because I don't know where he goes against the winner of Swerve Danielson that we'll get to later. I don't know, but I also really enjoyed the moment.
Yeah,
Like
it was good.
The Kill Switchosaurus teased the turn. Like I loved it. I loved it.
Yes, no, it was very good. And we got another glimpse of Nick Wayne's hot mom. So
Nick Wayne's hot mom.
Quick disclaimer to the people that are just now noticing that we are 51 minutes in. This is going to be a long episode. Just a heads up. Since we've pretty much hit the halfway point, and I call it the halfway point because we're about to go on an hour-long tangent about the next match. We will be posting, typically we have a little segment after our recaps. We are going to be posting another watch-along, but we are not going to be attaching it to the back end of this episode. We will be attaching it probably, if I had to put a time frame on it, probably Thursday. Probably on Thursday, back on the YouTube channel that we have here, Victory Roll. Make sure you subscribe so you know when things happen. We will be posting the watch along. We will have the one and only Golf Father Dale Springs back. We will be watching his retirement match that happened back in June.
The faraway time of June 2024.
I feel like that was a year and a half ago. So we'll be rewinding the clocks to one of my favorite matches of my career, one of his favorite matches of his career.
One of my favorite matches of your career.
Thanks. Appreciate that. But yes, make sure you stay tuned for Thursday. But let's continue on with this recap. And boy, oh boy, I'm going to talk for a second because...
Go ahead.
There are not many things in wrestling that will make me cry. I do not think I have been emotionally invested to a single on-television moment in order to make me cry. And I say on television because there have been a couple of moments while I have been in ring that have made me cry. My first heavyweight title win, the passing of the torch between me and Dale, the retirement match between with me and Dale.
I was going to say, I've watched you cry wrestling a few times. Usually it's while you're wearing gear.
On television, I have not cried. Now, sidebar. My nerdom started from a very big Assassin's Creed fandom. I got into video games via Assassin's Creed. So to have the one and only Will Ospreay, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
Is he?
Being sponsored, shut your mouth.
Sorry.
Having Will Ospreay, who is sponsored by Ubisoft, to come out with Assassin's Creed gear, that's one thing. That dude is a massive Assassin's Creed fan. But to have the original voice actor of Ezio Auditore give this long speech about how you've gone and conquered these lands, and now you have one more left to conquer, but you let your weapons, like, almost defile you. Like, you don't use the weapons that are right there and abundant to you. I was close to shedding a tear. I do the whole, like, okay, cool, it's Assassin's Creed, oh, it's Will, and then I hear, the Italian accent of Will Ospreay, this is Ezio Auditore. I'm like, oh crap! Like,
oh yeah, I'm getting chills talking about it.
Right,
like, wild.
Right. So, and I can only imagine how he felt.
He's been doing these kinds of entrances since Progress, One of my favorite entrances from him in Progress, like he had the hood, and he does like they set it up like it's a redacted wrestler who we can't talk about anymore,'s entrance, and all the people come out in the suits, the mask, and the first song of his 2-song entrance plays, and then instead of the second AFI song, Elevate plays. He rolls out dressed with the assassin's hood and assassinates all 4 of Redacted's underlings. He's been doing this since like 2015, 2016.
Right.
So to get this moment,
if not earlier, I'm pretty sure it's earlier.
You know what? You might be right.
Because I mean, so here, put a little time frame. Sorry, we're going on a rant. Put it on a time frame. 2017 was Wrestle Kingdom 14.
Shit, you're right.
Or 2016. So that was.
This is late odds, early 10s.
This is before he touches New Japan.
Yeah.
So had to be 2013, 2014.
So easily a decade.
Easily a decade he's been wearing a hood in trend of Assassin's Creed. And finally last year or the year before, Ubisoft said, you know what? Why don't you just go ahead and start putting that Assassin's Creed logo on your gear?
So, I mean, incredible moment for Ospreay.
Absolutely. But that's besides the point. So we have Assassin's Creed. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we have gone on so many rants about how we are not supposed to cheer or pop for heels. You can fight me, because in the greatest middle finger to the business, we have Assassin's Creed via Will Ospreay, and then in none other, we have the red, white, and blue Apollo Creed coming out with MJF. And it's just, it was the perfect form. It was what it needed to be. And then they go on and put another banger on. It was not an hour-long time limit draw, but it was still solid storytelling. Another return.
Yeah, I mean, we had some crazy moments that I did not see coming in this match. One of my personal favorites is Ospreay goes to do the flip dive to the outside. MJF ducks it, picks him up. It says, you think you're special because you could do flips, you piece of shit. Anybody could do flips. And MJF does a springboard moonsault to the outside.
I completely forgot about this, yes.
MJF is one of these, like, FTR style, no flips, whatever. But you forget that he totally can do these things. And so, like, that is, within storytelling, the perfect moment for it. So that moment happening is obviously noteworthy enough that I wrote it down.
Yes.
My other favorite spot of the match, besides like the finish, MJF is on the outside. Ospreay has tried hitting the hidden blade multiple times. MJF's on the outside. Ospreay stands up on the apron on the corner and lines up what is just going to take MJF's head and send it into the upper deck. MJF ducks the hidden blade, and some cameraman got hit with a hidden blade so hard he came out of his pants.
Literally out of his pants. It was bad.
You could see through the production all blacks that you're supposed to wear. This dude had some sort of crazy striped and rainbow undergarments that were very visible.
I made the joke it was Gene Money. Because that's how colorful that gear was.
The way that man took that hidden blade, that was not just a camera person that's never wrestled. That was somebody who they had like, hey, look, have you run a camera? Have you wrestled? Great, you're getting your head taken off at some point. Just be ready. But it may not even have
been a working camera.
Look, if it was a working camera,
I need
release that camera angle.
Yeah.
If it's just a snippet on Dynamite, whatever, release that camera angle, because I can only imagine how wild it looks. It's just like it's just MJF's head and then elbow pad.
Yes.
But I mean, they bludgeoned the holy hell out of each other in what I thought was just I think a masterpiece, man. Like, you've got MJF reversing out of everything, move thieving, trying to hit the Tiger Driver to no avail, and then shock return of the night. Again, folks, don't trust everything you read in a dirt sheet, because they would have you believe that this man, along with many others, is out of the company. He's on his way out the door. Bye-bye, see you later. Just kidding. Daniel Garcia is freaking back. Attacks MJF.
As he should be.
And I think that feud's going to go on a while, and it's going to be awesome because that's two guys that are great technical wrestlers, and Garcia's gotten really good at storytelling since coming to AEW.
Oh, yes.
That feud's going to bang. And speaking of bang, Will Ospreay just bashes the back of the neck.
It was rough.
Of MJF.
It was rough.
Into that mat with the Tiger Driver, with the blessing of Bryan Danielson. The reason Will Ospreay did not want to hit this Tiger Driver is what he did to Danielson. Danielson grabs him on Dynamite. We didn't get to talk about it. This is my favorite moment of the week. Danielson, after the epic promo segment, MJF makes some wildly out-of-pocket comments about Ospreay's kid and wife. Danielson goes up to a bloodied Will Ospreay backstage, grabs him, and looks him in the eyes and said, "Just do it." And when Ospreay looks confused, he said, "I saw what happened out there. I don't care. Do it." And that was one of those moments where, like, my spine shivered. Yep. It's like the man that he almost killed with this move said, "Hit him with it. Enough's enough." I mean, pop of the night.
Absolutely. No, it was great. It was great. And, to have him win, and then I believe it was Remsburg, because Remsburg never does not ref an MJF match, goes
Remsburg
to hand him the U.S. title match, or the U.S. title. And he goes, no. And to have Christopher Daniels slide in and hand Will the international championship. Now, I will say, I was really expecting like an Oku slide in or something.
I think that was my one little, like, when and I think we both said it, when the masked individual attacks MJF, it's like, oh dude, it's Oku. They set this thing up. They had the match in Rev Pro. They had the moment on Collision. Like, why wouldn't it be Oku?
I think I said Fletcher. I think I even said Fletcher.
You know what?
I was it could have been Fletcher. Cool.
You said Fletcher and I said Oku, and that's what it was. But Garcia coming back, I think, was perfect storytelling, because like some of those, like I think Oku would have just been fan service to like the nerds like me and you, but Garcia, hometown pop. Garcia getting that moment was awesome, and I'm really excited that he's coming back to AEW, because like he has put on nothing but bangers. Like even like the sillier matches he's been involved in, you can tell that dude is a real talent, and he's a guy that gets professional wrestling. And I'm excited that he's going to keep doing it with people like MJF.
Absolutely.
So,
all right, super quick, hit the rating.
7 dead cameramen out of 5. I have broken my scale, Meltzer style. We've got our first 7 dead cameramen out of 5. It was maybe because I love both wrestlers so much. Maybe there's a little emotional attachment, just maybe. But I mean, I think those two did exactly what I wanted. Like, it was a phenomenal match. It was phenomenal storytelling. It was spots. It was blood. It was it was a damn good professional wrestling match. And not a spot fest. That's the thing. It was a great professional wrestling match from two guys with two totally different styles that completely understand this sport. I thought it was awesome.
It was a good time. I mean, he already had 2 or 3 stars by the entrance. So I mean,
I think we're both just like, so this is going to be a 7, right? And then the match started. We're like, oh my god.
And then the cameraman died. We were like, well, it's at least a 5 now, because you have an innocent bystander that just ate shit.
So let me tell you, as somebody that's run a camera on the outside, that is going to be my new biggest fear. So thanks, Will.
And
but,
it's a good thing you don't have an Osprey mark at 225.
Do we have one of those?
Apparently we do.
Hey, man, look, you just copied his gear and took his finish. It's fine.
Yeah, I definitely don't take moments from his matches and put them in my matches, because who would do that?
Every wrestler in the world. So let's get to
Remember, we stand strong, guys.
let's get to our match of the night.
Match of the night.
Mercedes Moné, Britt Baker. I give 2 wonky finishes out of 5 because Mercedes Moné. I'm gonna. This is my rant portion. I don't care. Blame St. Arnold for making it
hasn't
an
happened yet?
Oktoberfest. This is. Here's a social media clip. No, please don't. You would not find in the NXT days a bigger Sasha Banks fan. I think what she, along with Bayley, Becky, Charlotte did, they changed the game. She had some amazing matches with Bayley. She had some amazing matches with Becky in NXT. Her and Charlotte's feud on the main roster was fantastic. I don't know who the hell this person is inhabiting that flesh suit, but it's just the things that I loved about Sasha Banks are not there. You could tell it's a different attitude, and like maybe that's where she needed to be as a person, whatever. Like, I'm not hating it, and I'm not saying she's not good. I think, to me, there's like 2 or 3 tweaks that could be made, and she is right back in form. She's not bad. That finisher she uses that she couldn't get Kairi Sane to take. Kairi Sane is about the weight of a loaded backpack. If she couldn't get Kairi Sane around, as talented and as light and as mobile as Kairi Sane is, how are you going to hit that on anyone else?
I still don't know. I still don't know what it is.
I think
that's the worst part. I can't tell if it's supposed to be a flatliner or a DDT. Like, it just kind of ends up just slamming them into the mat. And I don't think we've ever gotten up.
I watched the one video they got of her actually getting it right. And because it came out immediately after, it was like, oh, this is what she's going for. And I have never once seen her do it since. But it's like it's that like kind of reverse backpack.
Like
and it's
bomb?
supposed, yeah, like a gory bomb. And it's a 180 into like a butterfly DDT.
Dude.
You have to time that so perfectly. And you do this. You understand that wrestling matches don't go your way. Physics don't always go your way. You have to have those moments that, like, okay, sometimes things just go wrong. But when your finish goes wrong every single time, maybe it's time to go back to an old friend. The backstabber into the bank statement was a perfect signature finisher, bam, bam. Because you hit the back, you roll them through, and they're already weakened up from getting their your knees driven into their spine. I get you want to change up, you want to have a different image, different whatever. Please go back to that finisher, please.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think once again we didn't talk about it because it was on Wednesday Night Dynamite. Maybe we should have talked about it, but oh well. I think Britt said it well. You know, Mercedes, you are one of 4. I am one of 1.
Yeah.
I'm not saying she can't do it without the other 4.
She totally can.
But part of me is really starting to think that she was one of 4 because of all 4 of them. Not because she was 1, but because she was 4, you know? So we'll have to see. Hopefully that'll change.
I really want to like it. Like, I really want to like what she's doing. Like, I was a huge fan.
Yeah.
And I can be again. But that match was look, I love Britt Baker. That was an okay match. My favorite spot of the whole thing was when Camille's on the outside. They're trying to do the belt shot, and Britt snags the belt while the referee's back is turned, smacks the ring, tosses it back, and hits the Eddie Guerrero flop. Because Mercedes, Sasha has always done the 3 amigos. And it's like, okay, we got that Eddie reference in there. Doing the Eddie Guerrero like weapon shot fake spot, I thought was nice.
It was good.
But ultimately, LOL, Mercedes wins. 2 wonky finishes out of 5.
Be all right. We'll be all right. It's okay. It's only the mid card women's title. It's okay. And then we move on to a solid match, actually.
A very solid match.
Sometimes I get a little weird about Darby Allin matches, and tonight I was okay with it, even with the whole um, chance that we got out of it. Jack Perry versus Darby Allin in a coffin match because it cannot be a casket match for licensing reasons.
Well, and also Darby Allin does the coffin drop, so
That's for
it's
licensing
there.
reasons.
It's there.
It's not for talent reasons, licensing reasons. It will always be licensing reasons. Now you understand how you feel, tribalism. Watch out.
Tribalism is lame. There, I said it. I regrets nothings. Darby Allin, the scapegoat Jack Perry, and not a perfect match by any stretch, but a really freaking fun, violent match. Darby Allin coming out with thumbtacks glued to his face was so stupid and so perfect at the same time. Because look, this beautiful sport that we love can be very stupid sometimes. I loved it. It's just like, yeah, because why wouldn't somebody as crazy as Darby Allin be like, you know what would be a great idea if I put pointy things pointed out on my face and used my head as a weapon?
Well, not only that, but he's gonna punch my head.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't it make sense to have thumbtacks on my head? He goes to punch and he's stabbing his fingers. He's not really
just
doing damage to me.
block the punches with your face.
Right.
So we had Darby Allin's thumbtack face. I think probably one of my moments of the night, like top 5 moments of the night. Jack Perry goes for the bag, and we're like, okay, thumbtacks, cool. This match has gotten violent. They've done all kinds of crazy things. Lest we forget where Jack Perry was 1 year ago. He dumps out that bag, and it is real glass, folks. And we immediately, this Wembley crowd, because Tony books for the sickos, and the sickos were in full force, got an "Oh, cry me a river" chant, which I loved as is. I thought that was perfect. He is playing to this crowd so well. And as they take the spots onto the glass, Perry takes just a crazy back bump onto that glass, starts bleeding immediately, and it's a small callback. But when he took the powerbomb onto the windshield last year at Wembley, the first shot across the bow that made everything happen, he pulls the tricep to aim to the camera, showing where he's bleeding, before looking the camera down, saying, "It's real glass, cry me a river." He's got blood in the same spot. He grabs that arm, he puts it to the camera, and he doesn't say anything. The crowd says it for him, and folks, we're cashing in 1 per episode. A full Wembley "fuck CM Punk" chant starts. And I just, look, I said earlier, tribalism is lame. And part of me still loves CM Punk, but good God, the full circle of what all the stupid drama from last year to Jack Perry making lemon drops out of lemons, like screw lemonade. He's going all the way to the next step. He took a shitty situation and has made gold with it.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And so the match, we hit the finish of the match. Somehow, after being undefeated in coffin matches,
Which has only been like 4.
it's only been like 4, Darby Allin, with his hands taped, with his feet belted together, and after already popping out of the coffin like Darby Taker, takes the kick to the head, lays down, casket shuts, coffin shuts.
Watch yourself. Licensing.
Matthew and Nicholas, our EVPs, come out with a can of petrol, as they would say overseas, and start soaking this thing down. And look, fire has been introduced into this feud. We've known this. They are about to set Darby Allin on fire, and my immediate thought is, oh my god, Darby's crazy ass is going to do it. This
Oh
isn't
yeah,
it's on the stage and he's got a safe place he could sneak out. Like, he is in there. They cover him in whatever they used in place of gasoline, because God, I hope it wasn't gasoline, because Darby Allin would be high.
he was saying the color 9 at that moment in time.
He could smell colors and taste numbers at that point. They're about to light him on fire, and I'm going to give just a second of recognition to my wife, who said, "Is it Sting?" And the lights go down. Boom.
Dude.
And I said the words, if they brought Sting back just for the freaking pop, dun, 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 Seek and Destroy plays, and the building goes nuts.
Lost their mind. Now, I will give it to them. The UK did not get a chance to see Sting before he retired. So I think that is the last time we will see Sting, and in any capacity that we need, because it was the UK send-off that he needed.
He didn't get to... That wasn't part of the retirement tour. He did wrestle All In Wembley last year, but he announced the retirement tour after the fact.
Right.
So look, I have it. I have the note on my sheet here as retirements are a myth. If you can hear this, Mr. Springs, retirements are a myth in professional wrestling.
You want proof? Look at Terry Funk.
He finally retired last year.
Love you, buddy. Hope the orphans are treating you well on the golf course.
But Sting coming back, taking out the Young Bucks. Such a great Wembley moment. Like, it just had that like big show feel to it all. No selling chair shots. It just felt like the Stinger of old, the double scorpion death drop to the center of the ring. And I love that this is the pro that Sting is. He cinches him up for it, and he looks at where he's at, and he steps to dead center of the ring for dropping both Young Bucks.
Yep.
It's that, like, take a second, like, don't rush it. Get the moment, get the shot, drop it dead center of the ring, make it look good.
Yep.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to give that match 4 thumbtack faces out of 5.
Okay.
I think Sting probably bumped it up another like half a point. I think fun match. You know me, I love my blood and guts wrestling, and I don't care. I love Darby.
Absolutely.
Him throwing himself full force at everything. I say it'll never get old. He might never get old. Because he will probably have to retire by like 35 because of the way he just throws himself at everything. But my God, man, what a fun wrestler to watch.
That's why they need to put the world title on him first.
They need to hurry up and
they're about
put
to
the
do it
title on
soon,
him.
I guarantee you.
Put the title on him, please, while he can still walk.
Dude. Well, talking about the world title, we've made it to the main event. We have made it to Bryan Danielson and Swerve Strickland in a title versus career match for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. And boy, oh boy, did they deliver.
I looked for entrances. I love that we got the final countdown for Danielson again. And it's not like a shock thing like they've done it before, but it just and the way that we built into this, it's very possible title versus career. If that's his last match, if that's his last entrance, go out with the theme from some of your most iconic runs. Go out in that moment. And the entirety of Wembley doing the doodaloo doo doodaloo doo doo.
Yes.
Awesome. Like you couldn't book a crowd response like that. It was awesome.
Right.
Swerve coming out, he had like also I thought a really fun like live music entrance. Nana's the man. Like Nana coming out with the bedazzled Starbucks cup to act like he's drinking out of the very obviously empty cup before hurling it into the crowd is so much fun.
Every time.
but like Swerve's gear had all of the people that he had beaten to get to this point. It had the references to Kill Shot. Like, we give Swerve a hard time on this, but the dude
Well,
does get it.
so we made the comments. We said, man, he has the heads of everybody that it took to get there. Well, then I noticed the writing, and it said Swerve the Ninth, which has me wondering if the heads were all previous champions instead of who he had to take down to get there.
You know what? I think you might be
I
right.
did not get a good enough look at him and his gear in order to, like, because it wasn't on his trunks. It was on the skin
The
tight
vest.
shirt that he wore or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, puts on a solid match to Washington natives, putting on one heck of a match.
And like we talked about with Nigel McGuinness, it was the generation and the generation behind. I mean, it was Danielson came through that scene, Swerve came through that scene, and then to put them in this main event, that I think one of the spots that just like immediately made everything in my body tense up, and I think it was the start of the crowd booing Swerve, was he has Danielson on the apron, and they're standing there for too long. It's like, what the hell are they doing? Nana slides the ring bell on top of it, and he hits a Death Valley driver where Danielson's neck and base of the skull hit the bell. And that was the point where everybody stopped swerving when they drive, and immediately was just like, oh, God, he really is trying to do this.
Well, so he does that, and then somehow, some way, Brian starts bleeding from the front of his head, which we were like, timeout.
He hit the back of his head so hard that his forehead started bleeding.
Right.
Has it happened to you? It's happened to me, you know.
It hasn't happened to me yet. And I've hit the back of my head pretty freaking hard, especially on a ring apron.
Oh, brother, we'll talk about that one day.
Yeah, one of these days.
But you know, for how confusing the origin of the blood is, it got so effective when Danielson is just full crimson masked up for the rest of this match, and I think one of those moments that will live in infamy when, like, he finally retires. We'll look back at this 20 years on, like, he is bloodied up and he's just getting annihilated. He catches a house call, and before he catches it, he looks at Bree in the front row with his 2 kids and just says, "I'm sorry." Bam.
And
down.
Eats a house call.
I mean, if I had another one per episode, you know what I would call it, but he took one like right on the jaw. Goes down, 1, 2, and he kicks out, and there's that immediate, like, was he, you know, because when he turns to his wife and says, "I'm sorry," is it like, "I'm sorry I've let it get to this point? I'm sorry I'm letting you down," or is it, "I'm sorry for what I am about to do"?
Right. Which was kick it into the 12th gear.
It was the 3rd, dude. Oh my God. And little storytelling thing, they kept, Swerve was hitting him with the yes kicks, forearms, house calls, and everything as Danielson is staring into the eyes of his wife and children. As Swerve multiple times yelled it, and I watched a fan camera video. They were fighting on the outside at one point, and he just blasts bloody Danielson in front of the kids. And he looks at Birdie and says, "You want your daddy home, I'm trying to give it to you. Why you crying, kid?" My whole
Dylan,
body tensed up. I was like,
but
oh
Dylan,
my God.
he has a cool dance, Dylan.
When the fans started booing him full tilt, I was like, this is it. This is what he was trying to do. When the fans finally get the story that they're being told, I love it.
Right.
But they keep having these moments where, like, he's beating the shit out of Danielson as Danielson's staring down his family and, like, hulking up. And I was just like, you know, kayfabe, if I'm Swerve and I beat this man half to death every time he's aimed at this ring post looking towards his kids, maybe next time I turn him to the other ring post.
Start beating the tar out of him.
But also, I mean, that was the story, man. Like, he's staring down that family. And that's what he's doing it like, that's what that's the thing that he's being kept away from. That's also who he's doing it for.
Right.
And I think they
And
did such a great job with that.
That was the moment for me that made me go, Brian's taking this. It was Swerve doing the yes kicks to his chest, and he would get hit, and he'd look at Birdie and go, "I love you." Bam, I love you. Bam, I love you. And that was how he hulked up. That's how he got the comeback. Was just saying, "I love you, I love you, I love you," and just bam after bam after bam, and then finally just, all right, no, listen here, kick out the leg and yes kicks of his own.
One of the things I think I've heard a few people in conversation say that like AEW does too much is the pass out instead of tap out submission. Personally, I've got nothing wrong with it. If you're competitive, maybe, not wanting to tap, not wanting to quit, but your body giving out on you, I get it. Swerve did not pass out. Swerve tapped out.
As he should have.
I thought was perfect. Absolutely perfect. I think they put on an absolute war. I think they beat the hell out of each other, and I think there was no question how good both of those men were.
Yeah.
But on that night in Wembley, Bryan Danielson was better. And I think that, and you could argue that he was better because he was fighting for something. You could argue he's better because he's the veteran. You could argue whatever, but you can't walk away from that match thinking one of those guys isn't like a top 10 talent in the world. And I think that's what that match, it got right. Neither one of these guys walked away looking worse. They both look like bigger stars after.
Absolutely. And that was Wembley.
Oh, you know what? I completely forgot. I looked back at my notes. Speaking of those things you call a mile and a half out, and they happen sometimes a little better than you thought, I called Hangman interfering, and I said maybe he costs Swerve the match, and I think what happened was perfect. Hangman tried to cost Swerve that match. Security drags Hangman out. And that opens up Danielson to hit the knee, and then a second Busaiku knee. Because it wasn't Hangman getting his hands on anybody. The distraction was there.
Yeah.
But I still think that's a clean win. And I think you've got more than enough for Swerve to go right back at Hangman, and let's continue one of my favorite feuds. Because now Swerve has taken everything from Hangman, and Hangman has taken everything from Swerve. So where do they go from here?
They're literally going to have to fight to the death.
Look, maybe a Taipei death match, maybe some blood sport, something. Like, where do you go? But they're not backing down on it.
Yeah.
And so I'm ready to see where it goes.
Be a fun one. What was the rating?
I'm giving this one 6 no-sold kicks to the head out of 5. I think great match, great emotion, great storytelling. And, man, WrestleMania Wembley. Like, Danielson with Brie and the kids in the ring. And, Bastard Combat Club coming out. Don't know where Moxley was. I'm sure there's an explanation for that. Not the point of the moment.
Right.
I loved it, man. Like, I think that's how you finish off a show like that.
Absolutely. Well, and with the finish of that show, it means the finish of our show. So, Dylan, where can they find you, my friend?
You could find me, I guess, no longer standing on the wall at 225 shows. You might see me inside the barricade. I'm pretty hard to miss. And hopefully not getting in the way of your favorite wrestlers and bringing you guys good shots for Unleashed.
Me. Favorite wrestler. Me. Yes. Yeah. And we also got the AFW podcast. I can link that down in the YouTubes.
We're closing in on the second episode of the Figure Fed podcast. So if you want to hear my silly fantasy booking, come on down.
Shoot ya.
Other than that, Dylan Gilbert on social media. Come find me.
Awesome. I am the Alex Braddock, or just Alex Braddock on social medias. This is the Victory Roll Wrestling podcast YouTube page. But we also are now on Spotify, so check out Spotify. I can also put the link down below. If you found us via Facebook, hit the share button. If you found us through Instagram, hit the share button. Cheesy YouTuber stuff that tells you to just hit the subscribe button and notification bell. We love sitting here being nerds talking about wrestling, and we'll do this forever. And if you want proof, we just did it for an hour and 30, and we were only talking about one show.
One show.
So, without further ado, whether it is a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, or a good night, whatever time of day you've been listening, thank you for listening, and this has been the Virtual Roll Wrestling Podcast.